So this is actually part of maxing out, right? At a certain point, you kind of max out on things, and you either have to allow for innovation, allow for society to change, allow for people to advance and evolve, because people do advance and evolve. If you don't allow for that, then you get a very stagnant existence. You get a very, particularly in the economy, you get a very stagnant economy. What's an economy? An economy is just people. That's all it is. An economy is just people engaging in commerce. That's it. That's all an economy is. It's not any kind of fancy building. It's not a stock exchange. It's not some pundit on CNBC. An economy is just you and me engaged in commerce. That's it. So if you have everything start maxing out, well, then there's very little to really do in terms of commerce, right? Because like, okay, well, how many more couches do you need, right? Probably not very many. Not if you've already got 10 of them, you probably don't need any more. You know, how many more exotic cars that all look alike do you really need? How many, like, I mean, if you notice, all the vehicles are starting to look alike on the road. You can't really tell apart. I mean, like, there's this meme going around that has like all the different SUV body styles and the bubble car styles, and they all look basically alike. There's nothing really particularly interesting about it. I've said this about the Cybertruck in particular. The Cybertruck, I think any car company could have done that, and they would have sold them because they look different. GM could have done that and put an LS engine in it, and they probably would have had my attention if they actually did it, you know, and they put an LS engine in it, and it had like 600 horsepower or something. Oh, you might have my attention then. But yeah, I mean, almost any company could have done something like that. Tesla did it, and then people get interested. Well, yes, because it looks noticeably different than all the other crap on the roads, right? So this is part of your stagnation that happens. When things stagnate, you get the rise of bullshit jobs. You get the rise of people that, like, we don't know what to do with people anymore because there is only so much code we need, right? At a certain point, you max out. One of the very first videos I did on YT, if you go back, I think it's somewhere in the early sessions, so it's going to be somewhere between the primer session and like maybe session 13. I actually talked about this, that sooner or later you max out. In your economy, and then you need to allow people to expand beyond it. But if you've created a whole bunch of laws to prevent people from doing anything, and you've completely annihilated the currency to the point where it has virtually no spending power left, right? Remember, what are the 5 things? What's the number 1 on the list? The currency. The currency, the birth rates. I mean, like, these things all affect an economy. And if you didn't allow for that, or if you told everybody to not have any kids, you told all the women to go become corporate concubines. That's reality. You know, the society told all the women, you know, like, oh my God, don't have kids. We don't want to have that. No, go become a corporate concubine where you will mean nothing to anybody. You know, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, you know, and as every Gen Xer woman that I know personally, that my wife and like all of us know, like, they all will say the same thing. They're like, dude, this really kind of sucks. This was really a mistake to just try and, like, nobody cares. Like, none of this means anything. Like, yeah, and men have known this for years. Men have known this for decades. Men know this instinctively, that unless they're actually doing something that is genuinely building society, most men get bored very quickly in their jobs. And it becomes just tedious, tiresome, boring, and stupid, and monotonous. And this is just, it's just another day, right? And that's, like, men have known this forever. So it's not as rewarding as parenting. True story. I mean, you know, playing with your kids and everything. So and then raising the next generation is, in my view, it seems like it would be a hell of a lot more fun than being some cog in somebody else's machine that doesn't give a fuck about you. That at the end of the day, they really don't give a shit about anybody, right? They care about making profits. That's the end of it, right? They care about creating a result, making money for themselves. And, you know, if you happen to make money and you happen to have enough coin to retire, congratulations. Otherwise, fuck off, right? That's corporate America, right? That's not just corporate America. That's corporate Earth. Okay? I mean, like, that's everywhere. That isn't just the U.S. That's everywhere. So, just something to kind of consider, that when you start maxing out, then you just end up creating kind of crazy fake jobs that are complete bullshit to try and prop up the illusion of an economy, as opposed to letting the economy correct. right? Now, some will say collapse, and I use the word collapse loosely. I try to tell people, I use the term collapse advisedly because it's not really a collapse, it's a correction. It's just a correction of direction where people have to reevaluate their values. Do you want to just be a cog in some corporate Borg that doesn't give a fuck about you, me, or anybody else? Or do you want to do something that's more local where you can actually develop friends and relationships and so on and develop your community? Your actual community. Like, you don't have to like everybody, but you can do business with them, right? I mean, I did for many, many years. You don't have to like her, and I still do. I mean, I don't like all my customers. I mean, it comes as a shock. And I like the vast majority of my customers, but some customers are a pain in the ass. It's the truth. I tell them a lot of times, you guys are a pain in the ass. But that's the thing, is that that requires actual growth in your economy, and of course growth comes from, and of course the way you grow an economy, by the way, is not just by printing money. The way you grow an economy for real is you add people, and you add people by having kids, right? So you can grow your economy the fun way by fucking with a purpose, or you can grow it the not fun way and just import a bunch of people who may or may not give a shit about you or anybody else. All they care about is just making a bunch of money. Like, just, what I'm saying? I'm like, this is the problem. So yeah, I mean, all these meaningless jobs and all this bullshit that just comes out of nothing, this just comes from a society that's become stagnant, right? That's just reality. The Soviets had it happen. The Chinese are having it happen right now. The US is going through it too. I mean, like, lots of places are going through this sort of stagnation that exists because they're not allowing people to grow and expand. Because growth and expansion of individual people means that the government has to reduce the number of laws down to almost nothing, right? So that way people can feel free to go do stuff, right? So you have to reduce laws, and if you reduce laws, that means you reduce profits, because every time you create a law, you create a profit center. That's why there's so many laws. That's why there's 80 million, 90 million laws. They don't know how many laws there are. Nobody knows how many laws there are. They've given up counting. They can estimate between 80 and 90 million laws on the books. That's just in the US. Worldwide, it's in the billions. It's probably in the tens of billions, but it's probably more laws than there are people on the planet now, worldwide. So when you do things like that, you just create stagnation because nobody wants to do anything. Again, the Soviets went through the exact same thing. That's why the Soviets just stopped caring. That's why everybody just looted everything at that point. That's why when I see like Walgreens or Walmarts and such, like a bunch of teens ran in there and Walmart and looted the place, I so don't care. I don't. I put Walmart in the same category as I do that CEO that got whacked in New York. I just cannot find it in me to give a shit about these companies. Because like, well, but private property. No, not when you're using tax money to buy it. Not when you're near the front of the printing press. You're printing money, dollars out of nothing, and then buying up all the assets with it, and then claiming that you own them, even though you bought them with counterfeit money. No, that doesn't fly with me. And there isn't, by the way, but there's a reason why I'm not invited on a lot of conservative shows, because I'll destroy them with that. That alone, that logic right there, because it's the truth. When you conjure a bunch of money out of nothing, and then you swindle people into giving you the ownership for a bunch of fake money, well, yeah, all you did was run a con, and you got a bunch of people to go along with it. So no, if all that stuff goes away, then you'll see a correction in the marketplace. What is the marketplace? The marketplace is, once again, it's synonymous with economy. It just means people. It just means people doing stuff. That will correct. People will start doing things. They will start becoming inventive and creative. They will start doing those things again, and then you'll see a renaissance, dare I say it. That's what you'll end up seeing, but you have to go through a correction first, and nobody wants the correction right now. Still to this day, nobody wants the, not the liberals, not the conservatives, nobody wants that. Nobody wants the correction, because what they want is control. Correction means that nobody has control anymore. You've taken your hands off the wheel, and you're going to like, okay, let's see what happens. And then you're going to see a period of tumult where there's a lot of scores settled, because you've screwed people for a lot. I mean, like bankers, brokers, boomer, like these people have screwed a lot of people. And there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to want to correct that as well. So, but then after that, then you have your renaissance. It's just that way.